2 million viewers, well, 1.8 million viewers for the Omos versus Braun Strowman segment from SmackDown. I don't know anything about nothing. We ain't here to talk about wrestling, though. We're here because this is our weekly pop culture stream where we talk about something other than wrestling. All right. Nobody's watching so far, which is great because I finally get to focus. All right. So today's episode for October 23rd, 2022. Hopefully it won't be 4 hours like sometimes these streams get. Hopefully it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of 2, maybe 3. But we have a lot to talk about today. I actually have an itinerary in front of us. So we're going to do the Naruto journey, the Naruto Shippuden journey. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to also delve into where I am on Inuyasha. We're also going to do some manga and comic reviews, probably some quick reviews, not anything in depth, but just some stuff that I'm reading and what I think about it so far. And we're going to do Black Adam. We're going to do a Black Adam movie review. We're going to do Black Adam actually probably third on this list, just to give some people some time to come in. So the early birds will hear me talk about Naruto and Inuyasha, and then people who are here for the main event, we're gonna put it on third, so we can listen to me talk about Black Adam. It will be spoiler. It was just there's no point in doing reviews if there are no spoilers. So we're gonna do. Will it be a full review? Kind of. It's gonna be mostly a movie discussion. I will be doing the David Mamet questions, which I took time to write out. Hopefully it's correct because I did not have any pen or paper or anything like that when I went to the theater to see it. So we're going to be definitely doing that, and we're going to do the comic reviews if time permits. So first, let's get into Naruto Shippuden. So first things first, the end of the Pain arc, we get Madara Uchiha, who tells the story of the 10 Tales, which is a collection of all the other tales, a collection of the 9 tales, the 1 through 9. And the Sage of the Sixth Pass with the 10 Tails Churiki, and it was sealed within him, and the body of the 10 Tails is now in the moon. So his plan is to create what he called the Infinite Tsukiyomi, which is a Sharingan eye on the moon to control the behaviors of all the people and ensure peace under his rule of the entire world. It is an absolute Doctor Doom-esque plan. I love it. I love when villains are just purely. This is obviously not going. Obviously, it's not going to work, right? But the ambition. That's the thing about villains. If they have unrestrained ambitions. What I loved mostly about this was how calmly he explained this to everyone, as if they would understand it. Like he's talking about, you should let me rule the world. That way there will be peace. Any objections? Like it's so ridiculous. But you see it also with Doctor Doom a lot. That's like the number one thing with Doctor Doom in the comic books is he feels like things would be easier if he were in control. And that's what, the 2000, I think it was 2015 Secret Wars, where Doctor Doom gets the power of the Beyonders and everything, and he actually is the supreme commander of the universe and all this kind of stuff. And people were, it was like Mr. Fantastic and all those guys were loading up and trying to find ways of depowering Doom and everything. It was great, But because these people are people, the Hokages and the Mizukages and the Kagekages and all these people, because they're not morons, they reject Madara Uchiha and his ridiculous infinite Tsukiyomi. And he declares war on them. Just right then and there. I declare the fourth ninja war. And they're just kind of sitting there like, is this guy serious? He literally just sitting here declaring war on us because we absolutely will not just go along with what he wants to go along with. And his response is kind of like, yes, actually. Like if you won't do it willingly, you got to do it through force, but it's going to happen. Right. So Madara is fantastic. Him being the sort of the source of all evil in Naruto at this point. He's the guy who attacked Naruto's parents. I have a big problem with Naruto's parents. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Madara Uchiha being the guy who gave the Rinnegan to Nagato, therefore he is the reason pain even existed. He's the guy who killed Naruto's parents. He is the source of all evil in the Naruto universe, at least so far. I'm sure it goes deeper than that, but it's an interesting angle, but it's something they try to fit Madara everywhere. Like he literally is really old. They haven't explained how he's still alive, despite the fact that he's very, very old. But I'm pretty sure they're going to get to that point. Maybe it's some kind of a invincibility jutsu, something like Orochimaru. He probably took Orochimaru the immortality jutsu or whatever. But they tried to make him sort of the ultimate evil in the entire universe. And it's interesting. But when you're dealing with real people, or people that are supposed to be somewhat human, it's difficult to do that. He is the root of all evil. You need some kind of higher power beyond that. And what was interesting is is that you saw through the Akatsuki that Madara Uchiha has created pretty much all of them, recruited them, or whatever. And it makes all of the Akatsuki what we call the Fallen. So there are two kinds of villains. If we ever followed this on this channel before, there are two kinds of villains. There are the elemental evil, and then there are what we call the Fallen. The Fallen are people who are genuinely good people who come to a fork in the road and choose the negatives. This would be Pain. This would be Gara. This would be pretty much any member of the Akatsuki, right? None of them are pure evil. They're all people who are doing their duty, good shinobi to their villages or whatever. And then they come into contact with Madara Uchiha, who pushes them onto the other path. But Madara Uchiha was not forced to being this way. This was just kind of how he is in his pursuit of power, his infinite pursuit of power. And that is something that we see through Sasuke, and it's kind of Sasuke's story now, is that he sort of inherited Madara Uchiha's desire for power. And you see through his battles with Danzo and a lot of the other people that Sasuke is becoming very obsessed with his own strength, obsessed with his own abilities, obsessed with Itachi's abilities too, to the point where he even goes to Madara and says he wants Itachi's eyes. So he constantly wants more power, because that seems to be a family trait of the Uchiha, is that they are obsessed with power. So Madara Uchiha is obsessed with power, and the ultimate power is to be the Ten Tails Jinchuriki and to project his eye on the moon, which is insane. It's absolute insanity. But it's a logical step, because he continues to have more and more power. As I'm watching the show now, he has both the Sharingan and the Rinnegan at the same time, which is, we're getting almost to Majin Buu levels of he can do everything sort of levels of power. And when a show usually gets you to that point where you have a villain who is, one, the source of all evil, and two, can do literally everything, there's really no limitations on what he can and cannot do. Usually that's near the end. But from what I looked at, this is like 200 episodes more of Naruto left. I know a lot of that is filler, but there's 200 episodes of this series left. And I'm just kind of like, I dread what more can we have left. All right, before we get into the other stuff, we gotta stop and talk about Sakura. All right, the Sakura stuff wasn't as bad as it was spoiled to me, because it was very manipulative. Don't get me wrong. It's forever fuck Sakura. Absolutely, because it was incredibly manipulative. And if Naruto was a different kind of character, it probably would have pushed him over the edge. But because Naruto was so dead set and gay for Sasuke, it didn't really bother him that much that she tried to manipulate him. But once you watch the story and you follow along, you get that Sakura truly believed that if she released Naruto from this promise, that he would stop his pursuit of Sasuke. That makes sense. Now, why she would tell Naruto shit, she loved him and she was done chasing Sasuke and all this other crap, all that was unnecessary. She could have just went up to him and said, Naruto, you don't need to do this. I release you from your promise. We're friends. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. I don't want you quarreling with Sasuke anymore. There's hundreds of different ways to write that scene. They wrote that scene. Whoever wrote it, somebody please give me the name of the Naruto author. Whoever wrote it in a way where you were supposed to intensely dislike Sakura after that moment. And literally, that's really the only thing she's done throughout most of this series at this point, is that she's kind of trained with Tsunade. She's been involved with some fights, but mostly she's done that, which is try to release Naruto from this promise. And she did it in pretty much the shittiest way you could possibly do it, by claiming she loved Naruto in a way of, I guess, distracting him. I don't know what the outside of Naruto saying, yeah, you know what? Thank you so much. I love you too. Let us go be together. What was the end point of that? She was going to have sex with him and sneak out of the window? Like, what was she supposed to do? Like, how far was that really going to go? And when you write a scene like that, you do have to give the reader. Now, we know how, we kind of had an idea of how Naruto would respond. But when we are not sure of what's going on here, it makes it very, very difficult to follow what's going on. It makes it very difficult for us to follow it. But we're supposed to have this idea that, she's confessing her feelings for Naruto. But it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. And I think it's 100% wrong to do that. Now, of course, the end game was that she was going to sneak out of the village and go and kill Sasuke herself. She even had a poison kunai that she was going to cut Sasuke with and kill him. Which I don't buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that would have actually worked. And the reason why I don't believe it is because we hadn't seen Sakura do much of anything outside of her battle with Sasori, which she had help in that. I just don't view it as a worthwhile angle to pull and to destroy the character of Sakura. And to be quite honest, you could tell they destroyed the character of Sakura because people who have finished the series and read the manga, really all they talk about is Sakura doing this. This is how effective this was when the original Ant-Man, when he slapped his wife. And that became all he had ever known for. Hank Pym, when he slapped his wife, that's all he was ever known for, was slapping his wife. Nobody cares about the context. Everybody, whenever you talk about Hank Pym, everybody brings up that Hank Pym smacked his wife. He's a wife beater. He's a villain from that point forward. It's the same thing with Sakura. You can do things with characters that are so irredeemably fucked up that people cannot look beyond it. Because Sakura does not have a lot of great moments in the series, at least thus far, this is all she's really going to be known for, is when she finally steps up to Naruto and tries to take some kind of point position in the story. She does so by, trying to manipulate Naruto's feelings. It's absolute nonsense. It was completely unnecessary. Now, the promise itself, her wanting to get away from the promise itself, was very interesting, because there's something that's called the Parker Curse. What it is a belief that Ben Parker, the Uncle Ben from Spider-Man, that he cursed Peter Parker with great power comes great responsibility. Because now Spider-Man can never quit being Spider-Man. He realizes that he has a responsibility as Spider-Man to do all of the things that he was doing, to be a hero, to put himself in danger. And in doing that, he sacrifices everything. Because he's Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy is dead, and her father. because he's Spider-Man, he can never really give Mary Jane the man that she needs. Because he's Spider-Man, he's almost always alone. You know, he's kind of permanently stuck together with his Aunt May. He can never really leave her. This sort of stuff, and there's a belief that there's a theory, I should say, that Ben Parker cursed Pete with that. With great power comes great responsibility, because it gave him a mission statement. It gave him something worth fighting for. But at the same time, it has come to dominate his life. It has become a thing that is greater than all other things. A promise that is something that is greater than anything else. And there's a belief that, or there's a theory that Sakura did the same thing to Naruto. That well, even though Naruto kind of did it to himself when he promised that he was going to bring Sasuke back, he, and his ninja way is that he doesn't break his word, he doesn't break his bond. That it was a permanent curse on Naruto, that he was destined to forever chase Sasuke. You know, and I get that, but I don't like that this guy's chasing Sasuke. I just don't like it. It sucks. You know, and basically what it means is, unless Sasuke is involved, Naruto really isn't involved. So pretty much every arc starts with Naruto learning a deeper meaning to his powers, learning more about his own origins, and he's not involved in any of the major battles or anything like that until the very end. So whatever, but whatever. All right, so we did the thing with Danzo. Danzo, who was he was about to become the sixth Hokage. He had all these Sharingan on his, I believe it was his right arm, and it was very creepy. You know, he was clearly an evil man. Sasuke killed him, which was, pretty badass. But, one of those things where you have to ask the question, how can the Leaf Village ninja ever forgive this guy who murdered essentially their Hokage before he hadn't become Hokage yet. But it was generally known that he was about to become the Hokage, and he got killed by Sasuke. So I'm interested in when they finally catch up to Sasuke, what the response is going to be. Even though everybody knows Danzo is a piece of shit, so him getting killed is not really a big deal to me. But it was interesting. All right, Naruto says in one of these episodes that he's not worthy of being Hokage if he can't even save his friend. And of course, I'm at this point where I'm saying Sasuke is not only not your friend, Sasuke is a fucking villain at this point. He's hunting people down and killing them. Like we're beyond the sort of, he has declared war on the Hidden Leaf Village. He wants to destroy the Hidden Leaf Village. He has attacked his friends. He has attacked Naruto. He's attacked everybody within that has come anywhere near him when it comes to the Hidden Leaf Village. This guy is not your friend, and I have a problem with that. Now, I know they showed 100 million fucking flashbacks, but I still don't believe that him and Naruto are friends. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I have to be able to see that story more. Having them be sort of antagonistic rivals. That's not a friendship. That's not what friends do. So I don't know. During the destruction of the Hidden Leaf Village, Tsunade turned her body into, what was these, slugs or whatever, and everybody thought she was dead. She is still alive. That rules. Kabuto is also still alive. He absorbed some of Orochimaru's chakra, so he's also alive. I'm pretty sure Orochimaru is going to end up taking over Kabuto eventually, but that also kind of rules. The Akatsuki corpses were brought to Madara. These would be turned into clone, like what was it? The reanimation jutsu that Kabuto learned. He turned them all into villains to fight. That was all in the ninja war. Zetsu has all of these clay creatures and all that stuff. I don't understand Zetsu. I don't understand what his point is, but I guess we'll get there eventually. Naruto's parents. Let's talk about Naruto's parents because one of the things that they've introduced into Naruto that I don't like is that Naruto is a child of prophecy. That these toads, the toad sage, saying that one of Jiraiya's students is going to bring a great change upon the world. And we start going through all of these different students. Where first it was Minato, who ended up being the fourth Hokage, who was Naruto's father. And then there was Nagato, who is Pain, the original Pain. And these two are students. Both of them are students of Jiraiya. Minato died. Nagato continued to live, but went down the wrong path. And then there is Naruto. Um, and Naruto is really the child of prophecy, the one who's going to end up changing the Hidden Leaf Village and the world for the better. I don't like that Naruto is a child of prophecy. I don't like it. I don't like that his mom was a Jinchuriki. I don't like that either. I like Naruto better when he was an orphan who was rejected by everybody, and now they have to accept him. When his parents are somewhat famous, because if your dad is a Hokage, then from what we've seen of the Hokage, it's a very well respected position. Everyone would have known that. Everyone would have known that Naruto is the son of a Hokage, and even if he has a nine-tailed beast within him, that would have been something that people would have taken into account. And also, it would have been something that would have been brought up long before Naruto was a teenager. Uh, you know, so you have that, and then you also had Naruto was born with powers, which is okay. That's fine that he was born with these abilities that are not his. Now, I did like that part is that we learned through the training arcs that Naruto's natural chakra is not the Nine Tails chakra. It's two different things. He has to sort of continue to work in order to have access to the Nine Tails chakra. That's fine. But Naruto being a character that was supposed to be, you know, a rejected orphan monster within, like this doesn't make like imagine your father was somebody famous and nobody ever told you until you were like 16. Like that's the craziest thing in the world. That would have been one of the first things we would have learned about Naruto if if it was intended to be that way. That would have been one of the first things we would have learned is that he wants to be a Hokage just like his dad. Everybody's talking to him like, that's absurd. Nobody, how could you ever become Hokage, Naruto? You're an idiot. It's like, yeah, sure, but his dad was the Hokage. Shouldn't that make it a little bit easier? His mom was a Jinchuriki. She already knows how to control the Nine Tails. That should have made like, come on. So we get tons of flashbacks of Naruto's parents. They're cool people, I guess, but having them be his parents takes him off of the track of being a sort of blue collar, I'm going to bust my ass, I'm going to do the impossible. You know, it takes him off that track and turns him into a child of destiny where it was always going to be this way. He was destined to be the Jiraiya's student that was going to take the Hidden Leaf Village off into the future. And I'm just kind of like, oh, hell no. It's a completely different character change. That's a character change. It's it's they've done it with like Superman, where Superman was first he crash landed on Earth because, Krypton was about to explode or it was about moon's about to hit it or whatever. And he was essentially a refugee. That's one thing. That's one story of Superman. That he was a refugee who humans brought in and took care of him and raised him up. There's another Superman story that says that Superman was sent to Earth to be a symbol of peace and goodness and an ambassador for all mankind or whatever. One of those is a completely different character than the other, right? A child of prophecy, a child of destiny is a different story than a hardworking blue collar story. It's a completely different thing. The entirety of Naruto, up to that point where they started telling us that he's a child of prophecy, has always been about Naruto not being the most talented, not being very good, not having any parents. Nobody cares about him. Nobody likes him. And it was all about him overcoming stuff, overcoming all of those different things. Now, once he had overcome all of that stuff, now all of a sudden, oh, his father was the Hokage. His mother was the Jinchuriki. They were well liked, well adjusted people. They were kind of bullied. His mom was bullied a little bit for having funny colored hair and not being originally from the Hidden Leaf Village. But that was about it. And I was like, oh, hell no. You turned Naruto from one character to another. And I'm not feeling it. I gotta admit, I'm not feeling it. Don't really like it. Especially since, I don't think it was necessary. I don't think it was necessary to do that. But I guess when they wrote that Jiraiya prophecy thing into the story, all of a sudden things have got to change. And I was kind of like, no, no, you don't do it. One of the reasons why people generally like characters like Goku, for instance, is there's nothing special about Goku. We're told that Bardock was sort of this average scientist or whatever. He's essentially a refugee from a destroyed planet or whatever. But you're constantly told that there is not anything special about Goku. That it's all Goku's hard work that takes him to be a Super Saiyan. That to go from a low class Saiyan to somebody who could defeat the Saiyan Prince. The great story of that is that if you work hard enough, you can overpower people who, you can overpower that sense of entitlement that somebody like Vegeta has, that somebody like Frieza has, somebody who's born on third base. If you work really hard, you can beat them. You can go beyond them. That's an empowering, inspirational fucking story. That's completely different than if you tell everybody, oh, Bardock was a Super Saiyan. Then, okay, now I expect Goku to be a Super Saiyan. It's a different relationship, different situation. That's not. No, I hate that. They did it with Yu Yu Hakusho as well, where Yusuke Urameshi went from being a sort of bully who had to learn how to use this ability for the battle of good, and then we find out later his son, he's the whatever. What's the word I'm looking for? He's his ancestor. Let's put it like that. His ancestor is a demon king from the demon realm or whatever, from the demon world or whatever. And you're just kind of like, okay, well, this shit was always there, so fuck us then, right? Like, why do we invest so much time in Yusuke Urameshi being the human being who has to fight these omni-powerful villains? And it was ridiculous. They say Bardock being a scientist was a dubbing error, but you will be pissed at the granola arc. Well, I haven't read it, but we'll see. I just don't like how these things, these characters are changing, because these writers don't know how else to explain why these characters are so powerful outside of they just have a great work ethic. Well, it's like, well, great work ethic can explain a lot, if you show them working, which they did with Naruto. They continuously shows Naruto working hard and training. Same thing with Goku. They continuously show these characters working hard and growing and learning different things and learning more about the world and learning more about themselves and learning more about their powers. I liked the training with Naruto and the Eight Tails. Stuff like that was fun. Even though Naruto wasn't on the track of the rest of the story, he was off doing his own thing. We got to learn more about the Eight Tails, which was great. That's something that I've talked a lot about, is that I wanted to know more about the Jinchuriki. Unfortunately, the only one we get to learn about is the Eight Tails, but that was still fine. We didn't need Naruto all of a sudden having famous parents and all that jazz. It would have been so much better if we'd have never talked about who Naruto's parents are. It's the same thing I feel with Batman and Joe Chill killing his parents. It's like, I hate that angle. I hate that you know, we have to know who killed Batman's parents. I don't feel we have to know that. To me, it's so much better. It's so much more fulfilling if Gotham, as a corrupt society, it doesn't matter who the gunman was. We don't need to name him. Gotham killed Batman's parents. The corruption of Gotham, the sleaze of Gotham. It just so happened that there is a human being who pulled the trigger. But Batman's war is not on that one man. It is on the scourge of Gotham. So Gotham itself needs to be the villain. Gotham needs to create Batman. If you say it's the Joker, or if it's Joe Chill, or whatever the case may be, it's a completely different thing. Yes, Naruto's parents are important to the Hidden Leaf Village, but then that increases Naruto's importance to the Hidden Leaf Village, which doesn't explain why they were rejecting him in the first place. So it to me is like you went through all this trouble of showing us that Naruto is somebody that people don't care for, that he was born with this thing inside of him. It wasn't told to us at first that everybody knew it was there because his daddy put it there, and he put it there to protect the village. It made it seem like he was born with a demon in him, and I see why people would reject somebody who they believe has a demon inside of them. Now, when the Jinchuriki, what they tried to do, it showed that because nobody really can control those Jinchuriki powers, that they are rejected because they often cannot control those powers, and then the Jinchuriki or the beast escapes and does damage to the town, kills people or whatever. They're trying to, so that's a back way of trying to explain why Naruto or Gaara or Killer Bee were rejected in their village. It's because the beast sometimes escapes the seal that is whatever is used upon them. Sometimes they get out, and so you treat the Jinchuriki like a cage, like a in a bird cage. Like I like the Killer Bee story that I really just watched. It was the last thing I watched. Is that we learned that he's not really the blood brother of the Raikage. He is really like his ultimate tag team partner. There's something about rap and wrestling that they got black people in the Hidden Cloud Village. They got them together with the rap and wrestling, right? So we learned that Killer Bee is banned from leaving the village because the Raikage knows that the Akatsuki exist, and the likelihood that he could be attacked and the beast could be removed from him or whatever, or he could be killed. So you learn that the Jinchuriki are always treated differently because of their importance. And the Raikage explains that, as a Jinchuriki, your life really isn't your own. You now live to protect the village. Your life is now the life of the people, and that's a very interesting angle, and I like that. It's just I did not like how we had to really blow up Naruto's backstory, especially from the original Naruto to the point now. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me that we needed to do that. And I didn't like it. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't like it. Let's see. What else? I went through a lot of these notes already. The reanimation jutsu, which brought back all of the old characters like Sasori and Deidara and all those guys. To me, a lot of the Fourth Great Ninja War feels like filler. Like I know it's not filler because I'll check the thing, but there's battles between characters I've never seen before that are just now popping up, and they're like 2 or 3 episodes about, like the samurai guy. Yes, Naruto had to have parents, but did his parents have to be fucking Hokage and Jinchuriki of the Hidden Leaf Village? No, they didn't have to be that. His parents could have been average people, normal people. Maybe, their child was the only child around, and therefore the beast had to get sealed somewhere, so they chose a baby, and so boom, there it is. It's inside this baby, whatever. Or something else. He can explain it some other way. But sometimes you do go through these entire series without ever meeting somebody's parents. Like we've gone through Dragon Ball almost completely without ever meeting Goku's parents. Goku's parents really aren't even discussed in Dragon Ball. There's that one line about his father. That's it. And then there is the Frieza line where he destroys the planets and Bardock as they're opposing him. Like that's it. That's all we really know about Goku's parents, is that at least his father opposed Frieza. That was it. So if you watched all of Dragon Ball, you learned his father's name and that his father opposed Frieza. We didn't need to know anything else about Bardock. We didn't even know Goku had a mother or where his mother's name was. All of Dragon Ball did not tell us anything about Goku's parentage. We had to explain why he had a tail, why he could transform into a giant ape. That had to be explained. All right. But going into any deep detail about how Bardock was somewhat special or whatever the fuck, I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Right. They aren't important. Goku's parents are not important to the Dragon Ball story. And Naruto's parents should not have been important to the Naruto story, because the entire first part of the series is how Naruto is an orphan who nobody really likes and nobody really cares for. But you're pretty much shown that his father was a beloved shinobi in that village. Everybody would have fucking known that. Everybody would have known that. Especially since some of those people knew his fucking father. You're trying to tell me, like, all of these people that we met all of these people, who would have known Naruto's father because they were alive, they were there. Now, all of a sudden, none of them had anything to say about Naruto's parents. Nobody had anything to say the entire time about Naruto's fucking famous parents. It doesn't make any sense. I hate it. I hate it. I fucking hate it. Back to the reanimation jutsu. I wasn't a big fan of the reanimation jutsu as an idea. I get it, though, because Madara Uchiha is going to declare war. He's declaring war like he has an army. He doesn't have an army, so he's going to make one. He teams up with Kabuto. Kabuto uses the reanimation jutsu to bring back all of these people. Most of them we have no idea who these people are. All the Jinchuriki that they've killed already, I have no idea who these people are. All these Hokages and Mizikages and all these people, I have no idea who those people are. Where they're explained to us as if there's some kind of big deal. We have no idea who these people are. There's also the Akatsuki, though. So, you get I guess, again, as they brought back, Datara and Sasori and all of them. Okay, fine. So the reanimation jutsu brings back Asuma Sensei, which takes me to one of my favorite parts of the Fourth Great Ninja War, which is the Choji episodes, where, Choji is just, he cannot attack his sensei. And we learned about Choji and his kindness. And I love that they really push upon him that if they don't stop Asuma Sensei, the dead version, he could very well be forced to kill his own parents. So it's interesting in that way, that that Choji being such a nice guy because these people believed in him. When he didn't have any confidence, they were the ones instilling confidence in him, and he's so loyal that he cannot attack them. I thought those episodes were really gripping, and it really works because this was one of the few times where we focused on the cast from the original show that I actually liked. Like Shikimaru and all those guys that I actually liked. They're actually in these episodes. So I'm like, okay, good. At least these are people that I know. I'm not really a big fan. I think there was like 2 or 3 episodes where some the salamander guy was fighting some samurai. I'm like, who the fuck is this samurai dude? Like who is this guy? Like when they bring in people that I don't know who these people are, and we got episode after episode with them, I start to feel like we're in Hunter x Hunter territory where they was just doing flashbacks for the crab guy and all that kind of shit. And I remember that pissing me off. I hate that. I hated that, Hunter x Hunter, we had to have a flashback for every swinging dick that appeared on the show. We didn't need that. And matter of fact, let's not focus on those people at all. We should have been doing more with like Tintin and all of them, people who were in the original show. Now I'm not saying Hanzo wasn't cool. What I'm saying is, where the fuck was he through the entire rest of the series? That now all of us, now maybe he's going to be important from this point forward. But I was just kind of like, at this point, I'm like, well, I'm far more interested in other characters, and I really enjoyed that more. Did I like the Hidan Shikamaru fight? Yes, I did. I actually liked the how Shikamaru finished him off too. I thought that was really cool. Burying him alive in pieces was great. You know, because how else do you defeat an immortal villain who you can't kill? You chop him up into pieces and bury the pieces. you know, so that was great. I also like that Kakazu questioned where Hidan was. Where was he? You know, so I don't know. So I thought that was pretty cool. We got Zabuza ended up coming back. I was never really a big fan of that character, but he wasn't there very long. Oh, Mifune is the samurai guy. Okay, I thought so Hanzo is the salamander dude then. All right, so yeah, that's the guy who fought he fought Jiraiya and all of them when they were young. He also fought Nagato and all of them when they were coming up too. So okay, so they showed us how they defeated the reanimated spirits by giving their spirits peace, and they were able to just kind of vanish on their own without being beaten up. Okay, it was just a continuance of we have to give these villains we have to give them some kind of peace. They can't just be irredeemably evil. That right now Datara is still alive as far as I'm watching it. He's not alive, but he's still kicking around inside of a puppet. So they haven't figured out how to get rid of that guy yet. But they're learning how to give peace to these reanimated corpses in order to get rid of them. And I think that's a very interesting way. It's a very spiritual that you have these creatures that are, you've seen a lot in Japanese storytelling, these characters that have these ghost-like characters who are restless. And Inuyasha had an episode about this too, about I think it's called the Soul Piper. That was fun, where the little girl hated her mom and she had to get peace in order to leave. And it's a similar situation that we got here, where you have to give these reanimated souls, you have to give them some measure of peace before they would go away. So that's fun, and I think it actually is a great inoculation from Kabuto's necromancy. And necromancy, for the record, is just pure evil. I don't like when people try to use necromancy in a positive way. Like I think Black Panther is going to be one of those shows where, well, not a show, but a story in which necromancy is trying to be used as a positive. There is something to be said about the sanctity of the dead, that the dead have earned their rest, and for you to disturb that by either grave robbing or calling them back from the dead, that is an offense. And I just feel like necromancy is absolutely evil. I love Kabuto, and especially love Kabuto now that he's got sort of the Orochimaru thing going on. Itachi was again. I don't like that they did try to they tried to bring him back around, that he was some double agent for the Hidden Leaf and all that shit. I didn't like all of that. To me, it just seemed like they're trying to escape the idea of anybody being other than Madara being evil, and it would piss me off really a lot if we trying to find out that Madara isn't really evil either, but it's really just a vessel or a puppet of some other higher power. Because then I just hate that. It's an avoidance of true measurable evil, and you need to have that. You need to have a true measurable evil. You need to have an Orochimaru. Like there is no fall for Orochimaru. He was an evil kid. Like I love that. Like that was Like that's like amazing shit. Like Orochimaru was an asshole as a kid. You know, like he decided to go um he decided to go a different way as a child. You know, as a youth, he decided to go a different way. I'm looking at the comment section. I'm trying not to, but it's like those are spoiler comments right there. That Madara is going to end up being some kind of another puppet on a string. But so that's the shits. I hate that, you know, because they've put pretty much everything that has ever happened in this story on Madara Uchiha. They put almost all of it on Madara Uchiha. He's the one who did all of these horrible things. And now you're going to tell me that he's not the ultimate evil. He's just one of many bad guys. Like, come on. That's why I am actually preferring Naraku from Inuyasha. And that's a nice little pivot that I have. Naraku is just fucking evil. All right. And he's evil for his own benefit. He's very calm. He's not a cackling villain. Naraku is evil. He's evil as fuck. And he's more evil now, now that I'm watching it again than I remember when I was watching it on TV. I mean, the horrible shit that he did to these people. Now, I love that it's an old, I believe, I'm trying to remember what game it was. I think Final Fantasy, where, you know, the villain is responsible for bringing the team together. That's kind of how Naraku is. You know, it was Naraku's actions that brought everybody together because he fucked over all of them in one way or another, and they're just kind of banding together against him, and he doesn't really give a shit. You know, so I love that. Naraku is my favorite villain in anime because, as far as I know, he is absolutely pure fucking evil. You know, and we get his origin story earlier than I thought we did. As far as Naraku being born a human, but fused with all of these demons who took over his body, and now he's got all of these demon powers, and now he's got all these jewel shards and everything. But Naraku is a motherfucker. I mean, now there's something about Inuyasha that you can actually tell it was written by a female, and I ended up looking it up, and it is written by a female. But there was something I just knew as I was watching Inuyasha again, that the show was written by a woman, and it's hard to explain. But it was the same thing with Full Metal Alchemist. That when I was watching that show, there was something about it that kept telling me there's a female writer behind this. And I think maybe it was the focus on the relationships, you know, where male authors, they kind of do that too. They get around to it eventually. But for female authors, they almost immediately go for the relationships between the characters. Like Full Metal Alchemist is all about Ed and Al, their relationship, the relationship between those two characters. Inuyasha is a lot about Inuyasha and Kikyo, or Inuyasha and Kokome, you know, and all of these different characters, and then you swirl everything else in it. But it starts out with these relationships between these two characters, and I think that's just a way that females build stories, and I think it's very interesting, you know. But sometimes I can really tell a female wrote it, you know, when even though it's kind of stereotypical, I can tell when a female writer has written something. But Inuyasha is crazy, and Naraku is, you know, he is as black as tar as in terms of being a villain. I mean, the stuff with Kikyo and Inuyasha is bad enough, you know. And Naraku is great because he has an infinite amount of powers, where he can manipulate you, which is what he chooses to do, because he could just outright kill you, but he chooses to manipulate because he wants to corrupt the jewel shard. And it's better for him if he can corrupt the jewel shard through human actions. So we learned that he attacked Kikyo from behind while pretending to be Inuyasha, and, you know, turned her heart sort of dark towards Inuyasha, and that's why Inuyasha get pinned to the tree. And then we learned that he called forth the demon slayers and took over Kohaku, had him kill his father, attack his sister, And I'm just kind of like, holy shit. Like, this shit is fucked up. Like, it's, like, Naruto is fucked. Like, he's a fucked up character. Like, there's a lot of little, blue sky stories in Inuyasha, and those little blue sky stories are just them collecting jewel shards. So, like, they fight a thing underwater or something in the air or something like that. And it doesn't really have any impact on a long term story outside of they got another jewel shard. So so that's a different thing. But Naraku having these these villainous plans where he's just it's fucked up. And he has like infinite powers. Like, because he has no defined power set, we don't know what Naraku can do and what he can't do. You know, there's just no defined power set for Naraku. So one minute he can create poison gas. So if you bite him, there's poison inside of his body too. He travels through, he creates miasma. He can, he has clones. He has all this kind of crap. So it's really cool. And it makes sense because we know that Naraku is a collection of a bunch of other demons. So that's very cool too. Bleach, I'll get around to watching that eventually. Bleach is one of those shows I feel like it's very, very long, just like One Piece. And Naruto has proven to be very long too. Um, so we'll get around to it. But I wanted to catch everybody up on the things that I was watching. I also have caught up on My Hero Academia, that anime. Now, I have read beyond the anime, but the battle with the Paranormal Liberation Front has been fun. I was very hurt once again watching Hawks kill twice. Spoilers if you haven't seen it. But that fucked me up so bad. The Donnie Brasco of Twice made me hate Hawks. I do not like Hawks. I don't like him. Not a fan. Maybe maybe he'll come around. I'll come around on him. But the emotion that Horikoshi put into Twice right before he died was it's a tearjerker for real. Especially if you've been watching the whole series or reading the whole series, and you know how Twice struggled. And when he was a guy who didn't even know whether he was his real clone, he was himself or a clone or whatever, and he was limiting himself and his powers. And it's such an interesting angle, an interesting arc for him. To see it end that way is heartbreaking. And I think that's one of the times where I really noticed we were going in a dark direction with My Hero Academia. Also, Mirko, the rabbit girl, going through and busting up the Nomu and destroying that lab. Very well, very, very well animated. It made it look like an absolute badass. It looked fantastic. It looked great. So My Hero Academia is very good. And I'm caught up now. Bleach isn't that long. How many episodes is in Bleach? Because I know there's like 80 some odd episodes of Attack on Titan, and I want to watch that too. But I'm also reading the Attack on Titan manga. So I'll get around to Attack on Titan after I catch up on the manga, which probably will be forever, if we're being honest. All right. So I talked about Naruto. I talked about Inuyasha. We're almost an hour into this video. I didn't think it was going to take this long. But is Bleach over 100 episodes? Yes or no? If it's over 100, then I consider that to be long. Because again, most anime don't go that long. Most of them are 12 to 20 some odd episodes, and that's it. I need to watch Bleach. Everybody's talking about Bleach. Seven Deadly Sins. No, I've heard of it. I've never seen it before, but I've heard of it. I know everybody's about to start just dumping all of these different anime on me, but I'm not even finished with Naruto yet. Wait, Bleach has 350 episodes? That's a lot, bro. That's a lot. Yeah, Full Metal Alchemist is written by a female. And I knew that. Again, that's one of those things where I knew it was written by a woman. When I don't know, I think halfway through Brotherhood, not Brotherhood, but halfway through the original Full Metal Alchemist series. So I was like, I know a woman wrote this. It's just something in my bones told me that a female wrote it. And I looked it up and damn sure it is. And the same thing happened with Inuyasha. I was watching it and I was just kind of like, I just know a woman wrote this. And there was something about it that I was just kind of like, I know a woman wrote this. And I said it before that Inuyasha is essentially Beauty and the Beast. It has a similar character arc to Beauty and the Beast, where now Inuyasha is simply the Beast. You know, he's ornery. He's not ugly, but he's rude. You know, especially to like Beast is rude to Belle in Beauty and the Beast. He actually kidnaps her in Beauty and the Beast, but in this one it's the opposite. Where Inuyasha tries to get rid of Kagome quite often, and she has to sort of win him over with her beauty and wits and all this kind of stuff. Bleach is an old anime, so it's over 100 episodes. Good lord, 70. There's 70 plus filler for Bleach. Newer anime are over 100, like Black Clover. I don't know, man. I know a lot of the older ones, they barely got 40. Barely 40 episodes of some of those older ones. But, I don't know what you mean by old, though, because Inuyasha got like 200 episodes, which is, I don't know. I think a lot of it is filler, too. There's a lot of Inuyasha for me to get through. But there's still a lot of Naruto left, too. I don't want to start another long series until I get done with either Naruto or Inuyasha. I watch a bunch of episodes per day, and I'm still not making any headway in this Naruto thing. I think I'll probably watch 14 episodes today of Naruto, including skipping the filler, and I still am far from finished. I'll probably watch maybe 1 or 2 episodes of Inuyasha per day, and that's all I really got time for outside of wrestling. Most old shows are about 12. Old shows usually are about 12 episodes. There's usually a season. They wrap it up really quickly. 26 at the most. All right. So are y'all ready to get into Black Adam? Ready to talk about Black Adam almost an hour in? How many of y'all have actually seen Black Adam? Hands up for anybody who's actually seen Black Adam. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. Because I'm definitely about to get into this thing, and we're going to spoil it, absolutely. So before I do that, I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to either bounce if you don't want to hear about it, or if you just don't care, we can talk about that too. It doesn't make me any difference. Are you interested in seeing it, TN Pyro? What's up, Mind Blown, TN Pyro, Vegeta Lover, everybody who's come in. I haven't done my hellos, so there's enough people for me to say hello to. WG Field, Darren Miles, Lorenzo Granger. Hello. There's probably some more in here I haven't seen yet. So I get to see hello to Bennett X100. Hello. So Vegeta Lover hasn't seen Black Adam and apparently doesn't care. All right. So WG Phil, give me about I don't know, a couple of minutes. But I'm going to spoil Black Adam. I'm about to spoil the shit out of this movie. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Had to take the ACT so I couldn't make it. Be back in 30 minutes. Okay. RAS, we already got through Naruto's parents. I hate Naruto's parents. All right, so 59 minutes. Let's get into Black Adam. It is a solid superhero movie. It's a solid 7. There's nothing offensive about Black Adam. It's just kind of doesn't really cover any new ground. The Rock is okay. He looks the part. He looks like a superhero, obviously, because he's gigantic. But a lot of this stuff is stuff that The Rock has done before. For instance, if you saw some of the other Rock's movies where The Rock is in, he has this relationship with his son. I think, what was this movie? Where he's trying to save his son from some thugs or whatever the fuck that movie was. They have some of that in this Black Adam thing too. He's very serious. Black Adam is a loose cannon in this movie. So that's cool. Hawkman, Doctor Fate, Cyclone, Atom Smasher. They're the Justice Society in this movie. Justice Society of America. Let's put it like that in this movie. I'm a huge Pierce Brosnan mark, so I like Doctor Fate. I also like the power set that they use for Doctor Fate. I also like use some of the animation, the CGI and the graphics for Doctor Fate. I thought that stuff was pretty cool. Um, so that was. Oh, Arya said they didn't know about Naruto being the son of the fourth Hokage. Sure they knew. Uh, so let's talk about some of this here. I don't think Cyclone or Atom Smasher got very well developed in Black Adam. To me, they just kind of seemed like extras. Like Atom Smasher was, um, he was a comedic relief. To me, he felt like they were trying to go with a spider. They need a Spider-Man like character in this movie, so they went with Atom Smasher, where he's kind of like, oh my God, guys, sorry, I'm such a screw up. Oh, I tripped over myself. Oh my God, sorry, guys. You know, uh, Doctor Fate only wore the helmet when he was fighting, so only in fight scenes did Doctor Fate wear the helmet. Otherwise, he was not wearing the helmet. They even have him using his powers without the helmet, as in he has to hold the helmet or be touching it in some way in order for his powers to work. So Pierce Brosnan, of course, he's a really good actor. He brought some class to that scene, and that was very fun too. Um, but the other two characters, Cyclone and Atom Smasher, they were completely pointless. They literally don't do much of anything in the movie. Uh, they serve a purpose, like they find ways for their powers to make sense and to become important to the story, but not really. We really didn't care about them. There was no study of them or their characters or their personality or anything like that. It's just that Atom Smasher is a comic relief, and he's got a crush on Cyclone, who is essentially just black girl who loves the science. They did the big battle scene in Kahndaq, where the Justice Society of America, for starters, you have Atom Smasher become an absolute giant in the middle of a city full of people. So he's kicking over buildings and shit, and there's people in these buildings. Cyclone is turning things into, she's a living tornado or something like that. She's throwing metal spikes into into these buildings and shit. You're like, these people do not come across as heroes. And then you got Hawkman, who is an absolute self-righteous cunt in this movie. No, there is no Shazam. The wizards are in here, but the actual Captain Marvel Shazam, he's not in this movie. Unless you count the sun, which might be. Yeah, Atom Smasher wrecking the streets. He's stepping all over. He's kicking over cars and stuff. It's stupid. Like he's supposed to be a superhero, right? So this is something that I've noticed in a lot of these movies is the amount of damage they do to the buildings, to the city, while there's people in it. You know, and it's it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. Atom Smasher is literally he's incompetent, so he's knocking over buildings and stuff. He's fucking up. He's moving the cars around while there's people in it and stuff. It's very very bizarre. Just odd stuff that they're doing in this movie. It's just odd stuff. Um, Overall, I thought the movie was fun in certain parts. Like it was funny, and some of the jokes were funny. Um, they didn't even really tease Shazam, which would have been nice if they had teased Shazam was in this movie. To get into the plot, uh, Black Adam is woken up after being trapped, locked away by the wizards. He's locked away. I'm guessing with the crown of Kahndaq, because he had killed the king and freed the people of Kahndaq or whatever. And when he was buried by the wizards, the crown was with them. When they found Black Adam, the crown came back with it. Then you have the villain wants the MacGuffin, which is the crown of Kahndaq, because if they can get that, then they can become a wizard themselves, the champion of the evil wizards or whatever the fuck, and regain the throne of Kahndaq. It's stupid, right? It's real dumb. That the villain has absolutely zero fucking charisma, no fucking personality. especially once he, spoilers, once he gets the crown, gets killed, gets his powers, comes back, he's even worse. Because the character literally has 2 lines in the entire fucking movie at that point. It looks like a generic fucking demon. Just a generic demon. Sabak. It's just a generic looking demon. Nothing special about him, no charisma, no personality, nothing. Just boring, shitty fucking villain. But he's incredibly powerful. And this leads us to the sort of the twist in the movie where, Hawkman wants to stop Black Adam because Hawkman sees Black Adam as not being a real hero. Black Adam doesn't care about being a hero. He's fueled by rage and vengeance and all these sorts of things. And it was awful. Like it was. Now the Hawkman Black Adam angle, I like that. Hawkman wants to, stop Black Adam, who is murdering people, even though the people he's killing are villains. Hawkman is like, we need to have a system of justice and all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, but he's picking fights with Black Adam. Like he wants to just bash his skull in with this mace or whatever that he's got. I mean, it is what it is. I'm pretty sure some people who are more inclined to be Hawkman fans say that seems like that will be the character. But to me, it came across like a cunt, you know? Like he's a real self-righteous cunt. He comes at the conduct, had never been there before, starts telling these people what to do, telling them what they need, and then they had, of course, strong female character tell, Hawkman, you guys don't come here, you guys don't do anything. At least he's here, at least he's doing stuff. You got like Black Adam being he, pronouns, pal. But Black Adam is at least doing stuff. At least he's trying to help. He's been here helping us, doing all this stuff for us. Where the hell were you guys? What were you guys doing? And shut him down. And I was just kind of like, well, well, that's interesting. Like you get told off by random civilians. So it was interesting, I think. So let's get into the David Mamet questions. I don't want to get into the twist and everything. I want to get into the David Mamet questions first. Then we're gonna get into the twist. So the 4 David Mamet questions. What does our hero want? Well, we're gonna do for the villain as well. So the Justice Society wants to capture Black Adam. They also want to get the Crown of Kahndaq to keep it away from the villains. The villain, or Ishmael, or whatever the fuck his name is, he wants to get the Crown of Kahndaq so that he can regain the throne of Kahndaq. He is his ancestor was the former king. He is one of the last successors or whatever. Okay. Black Adam himself just kind of wants to be left alone. He really wished he had kind of been locked away and not have to deal with this crap. But since he's been, brought back to this plane of existence, he just kind of wants to hang around and do his thing. He doesn't really want to be bothered with the Justice Society, with the Crown of Kahndaq. He really doesn't really care about any of this crap. He just kind of wants to be left alone, which is interesting, an interesting angle. But we know that Black Adam isn't a superhero. He's an anti-hero. So we got that. The villain, of course, is very nondescript. It is awful. 2, who or what stands in their way? Okay, Justice Society, they want to capture Black Adam, so Black Adam is in the way. He's too powerful for them to capture. They tried that, failed. They also want to stop the villain who wants to get the Crown of Kahndaq. We get this run around the town of Kahndaq as they're searching for the MacGuffin, the crown, which a boy had, and then the boy put it in his backpack, and then he threw it somewhere else, and they were searching for the crown forever, and then ultimately they had the crown brought to the villain. It's ridiculous. Kahndaq. Yeah, Kahndaq. All right. So the villain is who is in his way, which is Black Adam, because Black Adam is sort of the protector of Kahndaq, and he is, not taking too kindly to this villain going around, messing with people, fucking stuff up. So that's the problem. In the Justice Society shows up. They know about the crown. They want to take the crown off the board. They want to be able to take it, and the villain really, really wants it badly, to the point where they put other people in danger. So 3, what happens if they don't get it? Well, the crown of conduct, if it's gotten by the villain, then conduct falls to chaos. So the Justice Society doesn't want that. Black Adam is condemned to a life of battle, which means he'll have to fight this thing and continue to fight forever for his own freedom, essentially. And he also doesn't want to disappoint his son, which is the emotional core of the movie, and which I really liked about the film. But we'll talk about that in a moment. And the villains is a failure to achieve their dream and or destiny. So not much for the villains in terms of what happens if they don't get it. The why now, which is the time question. This is right for everybody. Essentially, Black Adam is sealed away, along with the crown of conduct. And when the tomb is reopened, of course, by a generic strong female, all of the entire story begins. So at the twist I thought was very fun is that Hawkman is trying to beat up Black Adam, and it's just not working. Every time he tries to fight him, he gets his ass kicked because he can't beat him. So what ends up happening is he walks up to Black Adam, and Black Adam is standing on top of this sort of pillar or whatever, and he's looking at this sculpture, and we figure out that Black Adam is staring at this sculpture because the sculpture is of his son. And Hawkman finally stops trying to fight him long enough to basically ask questions. Why is Black Adam the way that he is? And then we learn that Black Adam, Teth Adam, he was born a slave in Kahndaq. He had a wife and he had a son. His son was a sort of revolutionary who wanted to overturn the king of Kahndaq. He actually tried to attack the king once. Before he was killed, he was whisked away by the wizards. The wizards turned him into Shazam. So that is, Shazam. That's the only thing that we get with Shazam in it. So the son, now having the ability to transform into Shazam, comes back and actually it begins the battle against the king of Kahndaq. At that point, we get that Teth Adam and his wife are attacked by the king's soldiers, and the mother is killed, and Teth Adam is deeply wounded. At this point, the son, finding his father bleeding to death, hurt and injured, the son says, say it with me, Dad, Shazam. And the boy transfers his powers to his father, in which now Teth Adam is now, Shazam. He's got the Shazam powers. But that, of course, that takes the powers from the boy. So then the boy is killed with arrows. So now the father is stuck with the powers. Teth Adam is stuck with the powers. He can't give them back to his son. His son is dead. And this is the source of Teth Adam's rage. His ultimate rage against the king of Kahndaq for murdering his family and him being a slave and all this other stuff. And he of course, he goes crazy and kills the king of Kahndaq and all this kind of stuff. But he can't control it. He can't control, who and what he is. And Hawkman's judging him and all this shit. Um, and it's an interesting angle that they played. So Hawkman has been trying to beat into the head of this guy what a real hero is, and the Black Adam doesn't care about being a real hero. He just wants to be effective. And the relationship between the two of them come to a head when, Black Adam decides, he's right. I'm not the hero that Kahndaq needs. The powers are out of control. I don't really, if I get upset, something bad could happen. So he Shazams himself. Shazam. He goes back to being normal slave Teth Adam. And he is then arrested by the Justice Society, and he's taken to Task Force X, which is the Suicide Squad. And he's put into these contraption where he can never speak again and buried underwater. And we think, okay, done and done. It's over. Except it's not over. The villain ends up with the crown after Black Adam, of course, had evaporated everybody because he was an angry asshole, and he even hurt the kid, and that was what made him turn. Like, he ended up giving up his powers because he lost control and hurt the kid in trying to stop the villain. So his way was not working. His way endangered innocence. So he gave up his powers. Now, a pause right here. I think I don't know that much about Black Adam as far as a comic book character, but I think if he Shazams himself, he goes back to what he was. But if I remember correctly, Black Adam had been around so long that if he Shazammed himself, he would actually die. You know, I'm not sure. You know, I think if he Shazammed himself, let's just to say Shazam, he would die. He can't live without his powers, if I remember correctly. It could be wrong. I could be wrong. But after he is arrested and sent away to Task Force X, this is when Dr. Fate, he has his vision. His vision has not changed. His vision is of all this big calamity or whatever. And they think that Black Adam is at the root of it all, and the Crown of Kondak is at the root of it all. But eventually, yes, Dr. Fate was on Earth. Dr. Fate was on Earth, absolutely. So apparently Black Adam, if he Shazammed himself, would not actually die. That's been retconned. Okay. So now he's underwater, he's gone, but the vision has not changed. Dr. Fate can still see into the future, still sees the calamity coming. They find out that the crown, which was scorched with the villain, that's exactly what the villain wanted. He wanted to die with the crown, because dying with the crown would send him to his wizards, where he could become generic demon thing. So he becomes generic demon thing, comes back to Earth, and starts beating everybody's ass. He's, trying to retake the throne of Kondak. He starts beating the ass of the Justice Society. Nobody can fuck with him. He's the baddest son of a bitch walking. Dr. Fate then says that, now, part of this story is Dr. Fate being an oracle of sorts, him being able to see the future. And Hawkman thinks that he's the one who's going to die in the big battle. He kind of sees that for himself. He sees that as his role is to die in this battle. And Dr. Fate leads him to believe that, at least for a little while. And then they get to another twist, which is Dr. Fate decides to lock Hawkman away from the battle, and he's going to fight Sabak by himself. So he's doing this knowing that he cannot defeat him, but he's not really attempting to defeat him. He's just keeping Hawkman alive. So Dr. Fate begins a battle with Sabak, but since he has multi-clone jutsu or whatever, he can be in different places at once. He sends an astral projection to Task Force X, to Black Adam, and he is telling Black Adam that the world needs him. The world doesn't need a hero. The world needs you. And in Black Adam's dreams, he's reunited with his family, his wife, and his son. He's technically not dead, but he's in suspended animation forevermore. And his son tells him, like, you're not done yet. You're not finished. And this, of course, awakens Black Adam, and he starts to free himself from this underwater prison that he's in. And he fights to escape the Suicide Squad headquarters, swims from the bottom of the ocean upwards. This guy's got superpowers without Shazamming himself. He's got like a long muzzle down his throat too, by the way, so he can't talk. So he's doing all of this with just pure regular strength. And he fights back. Dr. Fate gets murdered because he can't beat that Sabak thing. So he gets killed. Everybody else tries to fight Sabak. They can't beat him. But Dr. Fate did what he intended to do, which is to awaken Black Adam. So now Black Adam is the only person who can save them. He comes back, saves the day. Okay. I like the twist of him having hurt the boy and then felt guilty about it and giving up his powers. I like that. I thought that was a really good angle. Not knowing what they were going to do to him. But he said, make sure I can never say it again. Make sure I can never use those powers again. And Hawkman promised him that's what he would do. And that's exactly what he did. He sent him to Suicide Squad, Task Force X, where he couldn't speak. He had a thing jammed down his throat. But Dr. Fate, just 20 minutes later, helped him become free because he was the only one who could stop this villain. It was fine. You know, it was a character arc for Black Adam to learn about becoming a hero and learning what it means to be a hero and teaching Hawkman and all these guys that there's a different way of becoming a hero, that your way isn't always the best way. There could be other avenues of doing the right thing. So that was fine. A lot of people were very excited about the post-credit scene, which was, spoilers, Superman. Black Adam, he gets told by Amanda Waller that he cannot leave Kahndaq, and that if he did leave Kahndaq ever, she was going to send people against him. He says, well, there's nobody on this planet that can defeat me. So she says, I know people who are not from this planet. And she says, and I'll send them. And she says, well, send them all, you know, and destroys her little message. And then Superman shows up. Why Superman would be working for Amanda Waller, I don't know. Why would that be? I don't know. Where was Superman this whole time then? When they was fighting this wizard thing? I know Superman is kind of he's not really about that magic life. But are you, like, the whole time he was just kind of chilling? You know, kind of letting shit slide? I don't know, man. It's a solid 7 movie. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. Anybody who told you the movie was bad is a liar. It was okay. I had fun with it. I didn't overthink it, so it wasn't a problem. You know, if you get out of it what you put into it, let's put it like that. You know, if you were in there expecting fucking Schindler's List, no, it wasn't that. If you were expecting The Godfather, it wasn't that. But for a generic superhero movie like Ant-Man or something like that, yeah, it was pretty good. So if you enjoyed like Ant-Man or something like that, you probably did enjoy this. Like Ant-Man is one of my favorite punching bags when it comes to superhero movies because it absolutely did not need to be made. You know, it absolutely did not need to be made. So I'm cool with it. You know, now the question on this video is DC serious yet? Meaning, are they seriously going to put together a DC cinematic universe? If so, why would they choose Black Adam to be the character to set that off? I know it's The Rock. Like, that's really what it boils down to. Is it's The Rock? You know, The Rock is a huge superhero, not superhero fan, but a huge box office attraction. He wants to do this particular superhero movie. He's in love with this particular superhero. He really wants this particular superhero to be the center of the DC universe. So DC is just kind of acquiescing and saying, hey, let The Rock do what he's going to do. He wants to be, he's going to do his own thing. Okay, but that Flash movie, I don't think that movie's coming out. I'm not even going to hold you up. If that Flash movie come out, Warner Brothers got balls. I don't think that Flash movie is coming. You know, but Black Adam being the first character in a new DCEU, I don't know, man. Is he that important to the DC universe that he's a central character? But I get it that they shit the bed on Superman. Batman is fine. Now the question is, what universe is this? Because is this now for Black Adam? It's the same Superman from Man of Steel, same Superman from Batman vs Superman, same Superman from Justice League. All right, same Superman. So that means he is in that universe, which means Pierce Brosnan is the Dr. Fate of that universe. I forget the name of the guy who's playing Hawkman, but he's the Hawkman of that universe. So that begs the question then, the Batman, that's a different universe because that's a different Batman. So where does that fit? Does that fit at all in this? Um, let's see. Mind Blown says, I saw that the Flash will be released, and it will be the last time WB works with Ezra Miller. Don't know how true that is, though. I would prefer if the movie didn't come out. I'm not even gonna hold you up. Not even because of what Ezra Miller did, just because I don't like the motherfucker. So I would really be okay with the movie not coming out. But unless they're gonna kill him in it, maybe they're gonna kill him. And he's supposed to be Barry Allen, right? They're gonna replace him with Wally West. Isn't that he is Barry Allen, right? Or is he Wally West? Which one? Which Flash is Ezra Miller supposed to be? Because whatever one he's supposed to be, just kill him and replace him with the other one. I guess you could do that. But what about the other key characters? Like, are you gonna do a new Wonder Woman? Because Gal Gadot is fine as Wonder Woman. Now, 1984 wasn't that good. They shit the bed on that one. The Superman movies, they still haven't got a good one yet. Man of Steel was okay. You know, I didn't hate Man of Steel as much as everybody else. Okay, so Ezra Miller is DC and you Barry Allen. Okay. So he's a shit. He's nothing like Barry Allen, for Christ's sake. Barry Allen needs to have like a more of a regular guy tendency. You know, like you need to like a Stabler. That guy needs to be like Barry Allen. You know, somebody like that. Like if you could find a Stabler from like 15 years ago, like somebody who's on one of these detective TV shows, that's more of a Barry Allen character for me. Ezra Miller is too effeminate looking to even come across as a Barry Allen for me. But you know, I don't book these movies; I just watch them, and I barely watch the DC movies because I don't know the deep lore of the characters due to all the retcons and everything. If I think I know something about one of these movies, I end up speaking some shit that ain't got retcon. But if they're serious about the DC cinematic universe now, the Black Adam is a solid movie to start. But they don't really set up any other movie. They just set up Black Adam and Superman having problems. And it seems like I forget the guy's name is fucking escaping me, but the guy who plays Superman. It seems like The Rock wanted him to be Superman, which is, you know, he came out and said, "Oh yeah, that's the Superman of our universe." And I'm pretty sure nobody was kind of like, "Oh, well, let The Rock say whatever he's going to say." You know, like if The Rock wants that guy to be Superman, then he's Superman. You know, especially if he's going to be the one that's going to be the anchor of all these fucking movies. They had I forgot to mention that they had Black Adam play a little bit like a Drax character in this movie where he was a man out of time. And since, you know, Drax was kind of like, nothing goes over my head, I will catch it. That's kind of how Black Adam was in this movie too. Henry Cavill, that was his name. Okay. Yeah, The Rock requested Henry Cavill to come back. So him being Superman in that universe, Superman is the center of the DC universe, even though we know Batman is more popular. What are they gonna do? Because you gotta retcon some of these movies. You do. You gotta get rid of some of these movies because some of them are not good. So what are you gonna do? Is Aquaman 2 actually coming out or not? Because I don't know about old girl who played Mira in Aquaman 2. Is she still going to be in it? Even though that's all that shit she did with Johnny Depp. You know, so you got interesting. So we're going to have another Aquaman movie, which, you know, the first Aquaman was as solid as Black Adam was. It was inoffensive. I didn't like that Aquaman's mama was still alive, but whatever. I know she's still alive in the comics. I just felt like we could have made that slight deviation there, that she shouldn't have been alive. That kind of ruined it for me. Also, I don't think the villain was very well developed. But some of the DC movies, because they went away from developing a cinematic universe, a lot of them are standalone films. So, like Harley Quinn is a standalone movie. You know, Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, for instance, that's kind of a standalone movie. How does that fit into your universe? How does that, like, which Harley Quinn is that? Because there's Harley Quinn in the first Suicide Squad movie, and then there's Harley Quinn in the Birds of Prey movie, and I think that's the same Harley Quinn, if I'm supposed to remember correctly. I didn't see the Birds of Prey film, so I don't know if they're building off of her being in the Suicide Squad or not. But it's the same woman playing the same character, so I have no idea. You know, then then there is the weirdness with the Joker, where are we going to utilize Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker again? Joaquin Phoenix? It is Joaquin Phoenix, right? Okay. Are we going to utilize his Joker, or are we going back to Jared Leto's Joker? Like, who's going to be the Joker in that universe? I, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, it's so confusing because they've just been pumping movies out without any thought, without any plan. It's hard for you to say that it's going to be a cinematic universe. We're probably better off not having a cinematic universe, but having maybe a Black Adam trilogy where The Rock just does 3 or 4 of these movies and calls it a day. Get as much as you can into it. All right, he fought the Justice Society in this one. Maybe he fights Superman in the next one, and he fights the Justice League in the third one. Yeah, Flashpoint could fix all this. That's the one good thing about DC is that they could absolutely just murk all this shit with Flashpoint, which they might do. Which I heard was actually going to be the Flash movie. It's going to be Flashpoint. I guess. I guess. You could murk all this shit with Flashpoint. So, maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe they'll just decide we're going to Flashpoint this shit, retcon everything, and start from scratch. So that way, of course, then retcon this movie. It would retcon Black Adam. So I don't know, man. I don't know, but you gotta retcon some of these fucking movies, don't you? Like Batman is killing in some of these films, and that's not what Batman does. Superman broke a man's neck in this movie. That's not what he does. I don't know, man. And they also kind of blew their load when it comes to Batman versus Superman and the Justice League, and it's going to be hard to get that stuff back, to get people back into interested in that once you've already done it. So it's going to be very, very tough to get people back into there's a DC cinematic universe where it might just be fuck it, we're going to do a Black Adam universe. He's just going to do a trilogy of movies, and I would prefer it if instead of doing Black Adam versus Superman, that we actually introduce Shazam in the next one, a more serious Shazam, and retcon the previous Shazam movie. I don't think we need the same guy in that movie. I think we should just move on from that, unless they plan to merge those two movies together. In which it would have to be the same guy playing Shazam, and that was essentially a children's movie. So would that guy all of a sudden be out to get Black Adam? Because I don't. Looking at the portrayal of that character, and they have the Marvel family at that point too, because they ended up with the spreading the powers around. So I don't know what they're going to do, man. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It's very weird that they even trying this. They're probably better off just doing a Black Adam Shazam thing and hoping that will get people interested in other characters. But they're going to try to force another Justice League movie. And are they eventually going to have Black Adam get killed? Because at the end of the day, he is a villain, but maybe they're going to have him be sort of this complicated character that always exists. I don't know. But it was an interesting movie. It was a solid 7 out of 10. Not terrible. Not groundbreaking in any way, but whatever. Superman had to kill Zod. Zod is always out of control, man. Zod is nuts. I mean, he kills humans. That's what he does. He wanted to control the earth. I mean, are we going to kill everybody who wants to control the earth? Are you going to kill Mongol next? I just feel like if they wanted to be creative, they could have found a different way of doing it. A different way of getting out of that situation. Remember, this isn't the first time they've used Zod in these movies. Zod was in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. He didn't kill him. I think he locked him in the negative in the what's the name, the zone or whatever. After he took his powers away, So I don't know. He didn't have to kill him, I guess, but that was just a people wanted to make darker, more violent superhero movies, and there that goes. And I can say that Black Adam did not. It was a way of critiquing superheroes, but it was mostly in Hawkman being a dipshit, him being a cunt throughout the movie. That was a critique of superheroes. And it was really a Punisher type of thing where Black Adam hits them, they stay down. Where Justice Society, they escape, they find ways to get away from it, all that kind of stuff. This is kind of that regular critique with more powers. So that was the Phantom Zone. That's what it's called. Um, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to put together a serious universe. And Zack Snyder shouldn't have anything to do with it. I just don't think he gets the characters. I don't think he understands it because all these characters are different. It's not Marvel, like DC superheroes are not Marvel superheroes. It's different. These are the people. People have said it, and it is true. Marvel are people trying to be gods, while DC are gods trying to be people. So you have to approach these characters differently. It's okay for Iron Man to be a drunk and an idiot and to screw up and fuck up because ultimately he's a guy in a suit. That's all. Superman can't do that. Superman is an aspirational hero. He has to find the third way. When you think it's black and white, Superman has to snap Zod's neck. Superman has to find the third way. He has to find a way to preserving life, which includes the life of Zod. Same thing with Batman. He has to find a way. Wonder Woman, they turned her more into a warrior, which, I know she wasn't intent to be that way from the beginning, but it's just what they've done over the years. Uh, I definitely want a better Doomsday. I want a better Steppenwolf too, but doesn't like we're going to get it. Like we're going to get it. I don't know. Like it's fucked. Like the DC universe is not good. It ain't good. But this is the best one. This is the best movie they put out in a while. I didn't mind Aquaman though. I didn't mind Aquaman, but everything that they did with Batman vs Superman, that movie with the Martha, why'd you say that name? Why'd you say that name? I'm like, oh God, are you serious? What the fuck? Then they had the death of Superman just for him to come back, and I was like, oh God, no. Oh God, no. It was they blew their load. A lot of the big storylines that I actually liked, like Death of Superman, like Batman versus Superman, they've already done it. They blew their load on it. So it's really unfair for DC, but it's their fault. They tried to chase Marvel instead of doing their own thing. DC villains were weak, but that's because BVS and Justice League were supposed to be trilogies, but only got a single movie for each. Well, that's their fault. Again, they shouldn't have been chasing Marvel. Marvel took their time and they built up the characters. They built up the fight scenes. Civil War was something that was built up because Iron Man had his own movie, Captain America had his own movie, and then we got to put them in one movie, and that led to something different. We got to see the schism between the Avengers that led to the Civil War. There was no real reason for Batman to fight Superman. They didn't create a compelling reason either. That Lex Luthor was shit. I mean, Lex Luthor was so bad. They dropped the ball so bad on Lex Luthor. They dropped the ball. They dropped the bat on Doomsday. They dropped the bat on Steppenwolf. They shit the bed hard on those characters, man. And that's really what made people just not interested. And like people are just kind of like, if this is how you gonna treat me, I'm not coming. I ain't coming back. If you're gonna treat me like this, I ain't coming back. So the DC universe, I feel bad for them because they tried really hard. They really did, and they spent a lot of money on these movies, but none of them are really good at all. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. What can you really do about it? All right, so we got 1 minute, 1 hour, 40 minutes. Not bad, not bad. Justice League after Snyder's tragedy was rewritten to be more like Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a big fail. Yeah, it was a shit. You know, Justice League was repulsive. It was a repulsive film. You know, um, just what more can I say? It was just not good. You know, and I don't think that I haven't seen the Snyder cut. I haven't seen it. I don't have any interest in seeing it because it's not going to lead anywhere. You know, so I just don't care. Like I think Justice League did it for me when it comes to DC Universe movies. But Aquaman looked interesting, so I wanted to see it. So I did see that, but that was about it. Um, I was just kind of done with it. All right, let's uh let's talk, whatever, and then I'm going to do some manga and anime reviews. Um, let's try to. Oh shit! I can't find an ink pen. Oh yes, no, I can't. I wanted to try to put a timestamp on here somewhere so that I could go put time. Well, maybe I'll put timestamps on here somewhere. I'll do a timestamp this way. That way, I'll know when I start talking about something else. I'll do. I'll be smart. Um, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy was very good. You know, it just doesn't fit these movies. You know, because those characters were different characters. All right, so let's do some manga and anime reviews. How about that? So basically, I'm not gonna do as much of a review as much as kind of an overall idea. Israel Massey, I think Suicide Squad 2 is still one of the best movies they put aside from the first Wonder Woman. Snyder's cut of the Justice League was pretty good too. Maybe I'll watch the Justice League Snyder cut. I don't really know. I'm not that interested in it though. But maybe I'll get around to it eventually. All right, let's get into some of the manga I've been reading. So I've been reading the omnibus of Attack on Titan, which consists of the first 3 volumes of Attack on Titan. Boy, let me tell you, I forgot how much I loved Attack on Titan, so I started reading this manga. And this is a true horror story. I'm talking like there is shit you can do. What really kind of I really liked about it is that how helpless the humans are. It makes the Titans seem so much more powerful. And what was so beautiful about the story is that when they said it was kind of an insert into the story that the Titans don't need to eat. They kill and eat humans almost purely for pleasure. So you're getting this concept from the Titans that, killing and eating humans is just something that they do. So it's a horrible, horrible story. It's very graphic in the eating of people, and it's amazing. So if you haven't followed Attack on Titan, hopefully everybody has at least watched the anime. I watched the anime up to the episode that I actually got up to on the manga, which is when Eren has to fill the hole with the giant boulder. That's as far as I went into the Attack on Titan anime. I didn't see anything after that. So as I'm reading this manga, you feel the despair in these characters, and it's very well drawn in terms of how frightened and fucking uh, just petrified the humans are of these creatures, and it's tremendous. Like Attack on Titan is absolutely tremendous. I hate that it took me so long to get on it, but I'm glad I did because the omnibus volumes are really good. I got the first, I want to say 9, so it'd be the first 3 omnibuy. So they've been a great read, great investment in time and energy, especially when I don't have much to read. I can always just grab that, and it's a breeze getting through it too. So it's really fun. My Hero Academia, volumes 31 and 32, because I haven't talked about those. Things got really dark in My Hero Academia now. In 32, we get Midoriya. Just essentially is it's like Mad Max in the world in the world right now. Um, and Midoriya is one of the few heroes going around and continuing to be a hero. And what we get is that Midoriya is now essentially the Avatar. You know, he can converse with all of these different other holders of All for One. I mean, One for All. And yeah, Attack on Titan's anime is not over. I think the manga is over, but they haven't animated the ending yet. But so My Hero Academia, um, you got this Midoriya. You know, they freed all of these villains from Tartarus, the prison. So you get Muscular, he's back, even though he gets taken down again by Midoriya. But the what really gripped me in this story, and what's really how I'm really enjoying it, is that the people have turned on the heroes. There's people who absolutely hate Endeavor. They hate Hawks. They don't like them, and and they're still trying to be heroes despite the fact that people hate them. And there's a great amount of guilt on Endeavor, which there should be because he abused his children and everything, abused his wife. So he's a terrible person. Um, and the people have now given up. And what you see is as the people give up on the heroes, so do the heroes start to give up. So you start seeing a lot of the heroes are quitting. Not just because it's dangerous and Shigaraki and All for One are going to come back and kill everybody. Not just because it's dangerous, but because they can't take the criticism. They can't take that people hate them. You know, that people see them as making their lives worse. That, you know, Shigaraki and all these people, right? They come along and they're destroying stuff, ruining everything, and it's the hero's fault. You know, we can. There's even a scene in volume 32 where there's some class B heroes from a different school who try to help some people who are holed up in like a hospital or something like that, and they tell the kids to basically screw off. Like, we're going to protect ourselves. We don't need any heroes. We don't want anything to do with any heroes. And of course, Muscular pops up and he's on a rampage. He's going to kill everybody. And Midoriya ends up having to save him. And so they learn that they do still have some use for heroes, but there's a lot of bitterness towards the hero society in that universe. And that's creating very interesting storytelling in terms of the My Hero Academia universe. And I thought it was funny that Horikoshi actually apologized for how dark My Hero Academia got. But that was one of my main criticisms of the first, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 volumes, is that it was very light and they were avoiding any sort of darkness in the series. They were very quickly trying to move away from that stuff. And now they're just wallowing in it. They're going hard in it too. you know, so it's crazy, So I really appreciate it. So in book 32, we also get that Kai Chisaki, aka Overhaul, he's still alive. Uh, so despite the fact that it looked like Shigaraki killed him, he's still alive. He wants to apologize to his boss of the Yakuza, or the Shei Hazakai, because he failed to bring them back to prominence. And that leads another to one of my favorite scenes of Midoriya, is when he says to Overhaul, "You want to apologize to Eri, don't you?" And Overhaul wasn't even thinking about that. But, he tells him, "If you will honor, I will honor the deal you made with Lady Nagant if you apologize to Eri for everything you've done to her." I was like, wow, that's a powerful thing there. You know, he wants this guy to apologize. I mean, for starters, it says a lot. It's kind of pretentious to think that an apology can fix everything that Overhaul did to Eri. Like, he tortured her, using her quirk in the craziest ways, abusing her body. And he's like, you need to apologize. Like, you need to fix this. That was a little girl that you did this stuff to. I love that Midoriya, despite the fact that he is in a darker place as a person, he's still somewhat the same. Like, he's not as bright eyed and bushy tailed as he was. He's darker, becoming more like, Batman. He's got gadgets and he's skulking around in the dark. And they're talking about how his costume is caked in blood and everything like that. So you could tell that things are not going well. He's actually arguing with All Might. He tells All Might not to follow him anymore. He doesn't need All Might anymore. Not in a negative way. He didn't become disrespectful, but he kind of says like, I'm beyond what you were able to do. I'm doing my own thing now. You don't have to follow me around. You don't have to baby me, which I think is a great angle because part of the story is All Might, who's still alive for some odd reason. They keep finding ways to not kill All Might. I mean, come on. He's feeding Midoriya. So he's following him around like a lunch, like lunch and stuff, making sure that he eats and everything, being a real fatherly figure. And Midoriya says, I don't really need that anymore. I'll take care of myself. I want to help everybody else. I want to be the shining light for the hero society. And book 32 ends with the avatars within the different One for All members saying that Midoriya is missing something and that he still needs something. And it turns out what he really needs are his friends. So the entire book 32, we don't see any of Class UA. We get, I think, Shoto sending his dad a text message. That's probably the closest thing we get to their involvement in the series. But now they're going to be coming back. Like, all of Class UA is going to be coming back to help Midoriya. So that ought to be very nice. And I thought that was really dope. So My Hero Academia is hitting a stride with me. I'm really enjoying it. So they're showing how much Midoriya needs his friends, to change his demeanor, perk him up a little bit. So it's been really fun. It's a nice change of pace too for My Hero Academia. It's a very ballsy move to change the tone of your series like that, even though you don't change the characters too much. All right, I've also been reading Sakamoto Days. Sakamoto Days is one of those stories where former hitman goes and lives a normal life. It's like that movie Eastern Promises, or I know there's The Way of the House Husband, which is a manga that's like this too. So it's very generic in a way, but the book is funny. It has some really cool action scenes, some charming characters. Uh, Sakamoto is a world famous assassin or hitman or something like that who has walked away from the order and now owns like a grocery store in the middle of nowhere. And he doesn't know that there's a bounty on his head. So that's basically the story. Is he's got a bounty on his head. A former I don't think he was his sidekick. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I need to read that volume again. But he's a clairvoyant. He didn't think he was a sidekick. He finds Sakamoto in the middle of nowhere and makes him aware of the bounty on his head, and they basically just fight off assassins. And sometimes they are forced to go on a mission to do something, but it's mostly humorous. There's still some action in it, but it's mostly humorous. But I enjoy Sakamoto Days. It reminds me a lot of One Punch Man in that Sakamoto is pretty much unbeatable. He's like Fat Gum from My Hero Academia. He's a fat character, and he actually becomes more powerful when he loses weight, which is like he can lose weight at will. So he's like this fat, with the hanging jaw and everything. And then if you beat him up enough, or he takes you seriously enough, he loses 100 pounds in like 2 seconds and kicks your dome piece in. So it's very interesting, but that's fun. So there's been 4 volumes of that so far. So I think that's been a fun series. I've been reading Record of Ragnarok. There's 4 volumes so far. I've only read 3. So essentially, the idea behind this is that the gods want to destroy mankind. They voted to kill all humans, but the Valkyries have suggested that the destruction of the humans be done in a tournament form. That if the gods can defeat the humans in a tournament, then the gods get to destroy the humans, and the Valkyries are going to side with the humans because the Valkyries have some kind of grudge against the gods. So the Valkyries have been turning themselves into weapons so that the humans can fight the gods. In one of the volumes, volume 2, you actually get Adam from Adam and Eve, and and it's a very, very, very fun story of Adam and how he came to be. It's highly, of course, nothing like it was in the Bible, but it's kind of biblical in a way. But it takes a lot of these characters. It takes some characters uh, from Norse mythology, some from Chinese mythology, some historical figures, and just jam them all together in a big tournament. So it could be really fun. It's a really fun series. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully, other people who might be hearing this might enjoy it too. I've also been reading. Yeah, Adam Smasher is very annoying. I've also been reading what's called Chain Soldier. That's what it's called in America. I forget what it's called in Japan, but it's the series where only girls can get superpowers, and they get these superpowers from eating what's called Mako peaches. So they eat these peaches, they become more powerful, and they're able to fight these demons. Boys can't do it. So there was a boy who finds himself involved with these girls who can use these powers, and he agrees to become the slave of this girl. But in exchange for he becomes sort of like this powerful monster like thing, like a beast monster thing. And in exchange for his help, he gets rewards. That's kind of how the magic works. She has the ability to transform him into a slave, but she has to give him something as a reward, and it's usually sexual. So if you ever wanted to buy this manga or read it or something like that, there are titties in it. There's not a lot of sex in it, but it is kind of fetish stuff in it. So like one of his rewards is that she stomps on his nuts, because that's like the reward is something that he's thinking of mentally that he's not saying out loud, but her body is going to do it on its own. Like she can't, if she utilizes his slave power, then she becomes a slave to him until he is satisfied, and it has to be proportionate. So somebody else uses the power too, and she rubs her panties all over his face and all that kind of stuff. It's very quirky in that way, but it's actually a pretty seriously decent series. It's not annoyingly cheesecake-ish, even though it could be for somebody who might not be interested in that kind of thing. It might be annoyingly cheesecake-ish, but it's not for me. Another manga I've read was called From the Red Fog. This is a story about a kid who is a serial killer. He was raised by his serial killer mom, and he was abused and trapped in a basement and all this kind of stuff. And it's real fucked up. But I love it. It's very good. If you can find From the Red Fog by Mose Nohara or Nohara Mose, it's very cool. I really enjoyed that. All right, so I talked about some of the manga I've been reading. Some people have asked me to do so, so there that is. Also, let's talk about some comic books that I've read. Uh, Gunslinger Spawn. There's 14 or 13 Gunslinger Spawn books. They've been written by Todd McFarlane and drawn by Brett Booth. And Gunslinger Spawn number 13, Javier, who is the Gunslinger Spawn. He is a man outside of time. So Gunslinger Spawn is from the 1800s, the early 1800s. He is thrust into our universe because Al Simmons' Spawn did something and basically crashed all time together to make all of these different spawns from all of these different universes. All of them are on Earth at the same time. So Gunslinger Spawn is the coolest design of Spawn. And he's this old Western Spawn, but he's Hispanic, which I think is pretty interesting. But he's trying to figure out his main goal is to get back home, to get back to his time. But he also has a vendetta against people who might still be alive today. For some odd reason, they're still alive, despite the fact it's from the 1800s. So that's where some of the comedy comes from. Like, there was a hilarious angle with Gunslinger Spawn not knowing about toilets. So that, I forget which one it was in, like what series it was in, like what book, what issue, I should say, to be more precise. But he didn't know about toilets, so it was pretty funny. Um, him not knowing about televisions and cars and stuff like that is pretty great comedic stuff. He's also illiterate; he can't read, so that's pretty great too. And it tells you that McFarlane isn't the best writer in the world, but that little attention to detail that you would have a character from the 1800s, he wouldn't know anything about all of these contraptions, so he doesn't really be bothered with them. Like he used a motorcycle for a little while, only because he saw somebody else use it and he learned how to use it from there. But he doesn't really utilize too many of these contraptions, in issue 13, he can't read a menu. Like he wants to eat at a restaurant, but he can't read the menu. So he has a kid with him, and he just points and says, "What's this?" And the kid tells him like it's grits and yada yada yada, whatever. And the kid says like, "How are you going to be able to survive in our world if you can't read?" He's like, "I'll figure it out." So it's great. But in this issue, he is continuous in his revenge on the people who fucked him over in the past. So he ties this guy up to a horse, and of course has the horse run and drag the guy from behind. It's crazy. He tied up a guy on on the railroad tracks. He got run over by a train. It was absolutely insane. But Gunslinger Spawn is again from the 1800s, so he has this old West sense of chivalry. That this is about at the end of the book. He's about to get into a fight with some guys in the 1800s. It's kind of a flashback to his previous life, where he's about to get into a fight with these guys because they disrespected a woman. So in a previous issue, he got into a fight with a guy because he disrespected a woman. So he's got this old school chivalrous mindset about women. But he's not a 100% pure good guy, because he only wants there's a Spawn universe. So there's King Spawn that follows Al Simmons' Spawn, the original Spawn. Then there's a Spawn series where there's a different Spawn. I'm not sure who that is because I'm not reading it. Then there's the Scorched, which is a team of Spawns, on which Gunslinger is one of them. That's the only reason I read the Scorched, is because Gunslinger Spawn is in it. And I felt like there was something missing as I read that book without reading the Scorched. The Scorched also has a she Spawn in it, so there's a female Spawn. So it's a fun thing. But the entire Spawn universe is all about King Spawn is about these villains trying to get Spawn to become the king of hell, so that they can take over and basically utilize his power to crash different zones and open up all these things. While the good guys, specifically Gunslinger Spawn, wants to use Spawn however he can to get back where he's supposed to be. Everybody he wants to go back to the 1800s. He didn't want to be in this time, but he's kind of stuck here. So that's an interesting little angle that they've got there. All right, another thing I've been reading, Kaya #1. It's a comic book. It's a post-apocalyptic kind of thing, where a young girl with a magical arm and her younger brother are sort of walking around in this post-apocalyptic world. They're kind of outcasts in this desert or whatever. It's written and drawn by Wes Craig. Wes Craig is the writer. Well, he's not the writer. He is the artist behind Deadly Class. So Yeah, She Spawn. Google She Spawn. Um, she's drawing very voluptuously too. Like she's not super over the top sexy, but she's pretty shapely too, and she's got like a giant gun and everything. It was like real badass. I mean, uh, McFarlane's from the '90s, so he's not gonna let you down on that one. She looks the part. She looks really good, but she's also a legitimately cool character too. And she's kind of the leader of the group, as she is the only one who's kind of focused on you know a group goal, while all the other spawns are kind of living their own life, doing their own thing. You know, like Gunslinger Spawn is just doing his own thing in half the time, and Al Simmons is doing his own thing half the time. But it's also filled with other characters whom I'm not that familiar with. And every time I see him, it's like the first time I seen him. So, oh, but Kaya, like I was saying, Kaya is a fun story. It's a, a former prince. Their kingdom has been destroyed. Now he's being protected by his big sister with the magic arm. And it's a fun book. You know, I really really like it. If I could implore people to read anything, I would tell you to read Kaya. Kaya is very good. It's a good book. It says to read the blurb. It says, after their village is destroyed, a young girl with a magic arm and a fighting spirit is tasked with delivering her little brother to a faraway safe harbor. There, he is destined to discover the secret to overthrowing the all-powerful empire that destroyed their home. So this is really fun. It's a really fun issue. It's only been one issue so far, but it's been really fun. The final comic book I want to talk about is Old Dog by Declan Shelby. He is both the artist and the writer. It's sort of it's a spy book. It's about a character named Jack Lynch. Jack Lynch is former old school CIA. And if you read the story, it's really good art. Not the best. It's not a fantastic story, but it's a pretty interesting story where essentially Jack follows these villains into a building. They destroy this machine, and the machine gives Jack all these sorts of powers, where he can now make himself younger and that kind of stuff. So it's interesting. But he's a part of this sort of shady organization now, because he spent 8 years in a coma. It's very good. I like it. I'm going to continue reading it. It's not as good as Kaya though. Kaya is legit. So that's a lot of the comics I read. I'm still reading Scott Snyder's Batman, Death in the Family, where the Joker has cut off his own face and stitched it back on. It's it's ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous. He's continuing that. Uh, it's continuing that whole the Batman is obsessed with the Joker, and they have this sort of pseudo gay relationship. It's not fun. I hate when they do that. I don't know why they've been doing that. But I did read the Court of Owls for the first time. I thought that was pretty good. Uh, WG Field, do you think Black Adam is worth the 15-year investment for The Rock? Here's not really. you know, not really. I'm not. I'm not. To me, it seemed like they probably wrote and directed the movie at a time where this movie might have been groundbreaking and it might have been awesome and fantastic, but then they released it after a glut of superhero movies have been out, and all of these movies are kind of it's kind of generic in comparison to some of these movies, but it was good, you know. I don't know. Yeah, She Spawn does look a little bit like Jean Grey. She does. She looks a little bit like Jean Grey for sure. So I've been enjoying the King Spawn series and the Gunslinger Spawn series, and and I didn't start reading Spawn again until issue 300, and then I jumped off. So that should tell you something. Um, I'm not surprised he actually did it. I think once The Rock got enough clout to get the Black Adam series made, I'm not surprised he went ahead with it. I think the problem is eventually uh, they wanted to make sure that Superman and all that stuff did well, but they couldn't guarantee it, and then it all sort of shit the bed, and they kind of realized that all they had was The Rock. you know, like you better hitch your wagon to The Rock. You know, I heard the Peacemaker was actually successful too, so maybe The Rock and John Cena will save DC Comics. I don't know. Maybe wrestling will save the comic book industry or the comic book movies. You got three of them in there right now: Batista, Rock, Cena. Important characters. All right. So I went through a lot. Uh, is there anything else? Of course, I'm still reading Spy Family. I haven't read six yet for Spy Family, but I read the first five. Oh no, that's eight. I haven't read yet. I read seven. I'm still reading Fist of the North Star. I got up to book six. Uh, let's see. I read Jurassic League. Sort of. I think it's Darren Warren Johnson, and if the Justice League were dinosaurs, which was a fun series. It was kind of silly, kind of over the top, but I talked a lot here so far. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Batista wants to move on to more serious roles, like being a big bad villain in something or other. All right, I appreciate everybody who came in, but I absolutely must use the bathroom. So, even though I did plan to go a little bit longer, um, maybe I'll be able to hit you guys some other time because I absolutely have to go to the bathroom now. So, be sure to like the video if you listen this far. Share the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank everybody for their participation and coming in to the live stream. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.